Howdy, howdy do, Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And welcome to episode 244.
Yes.
One day, I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
Our lives are different to anybody else's. That's the exciting thing. Nobody in the universe can do what we're doing.
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
You may be a doctor, but I'm the doctor. The definite article, you might say.
The trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear, and it seems not a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
I am the Doctor!
For now, for this moment, I am the Doctor again.
The ground beneath our feet is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. And the entire planet is hurtling around the sun at 67,000 miles an hour. And I can feel it. We're falling through space, you and me.
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect. But actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
I could be a curator. I'd be great at curating. I'd be the great curator.
I could retire and do that. I'm the Doctor. I've lived for over 2,000 years, and not all of them were good. I've made many mistakes, and it's about time that I did something about that.
Bit of adrenaline, dash of outrage, and a hint of panic knitted my brain back together. I know exactly who I am. I'm the Doctor. Sorting out fair play throughout the universe.
Howdy, howdy do. Welcome to episode 244. Hope you've all had a cracking week and that you've all managed to do something Doctor Who related.
Yes.
Yes, coming to you from the land of man flu.
No sympathy. No sympathy for you because you don't give any sympathy, I remember.
That's very true.
Yeah. Don't give him any sympathy, guys.
I'm cool with that. Yes.
You do sound a bit groggy though, to be fair.
Yeah. I do feel, when you get a head cold, it's normally sort of day 3 or 4 where it really kicks your ass a little bit.
Mm.
So I'm in the throes of having my little area of stuff around me on the sofa. So I've got my blanket on the sofa and down on the carpet I've got a Lemsip or a cup of tea and tissues and all that stuff, halls and all that.
Yeah, I'm just shutting that TARDIS door. You just stay over that side of the TARDIS and I'll stay this side.
Yes.
I'm just replacing the roundel that we normally talk through, just replacing it like Davison does, just putting in the the roundel.
Yeah, it's not a bad shout, dude. Yeah, so I picked up this bug. I'm going to go first in terms of what have we done this week. I've done very little because I've been away. I picked up this bug while I've been in Toronto in Canada. So we was over there because my wife was running the Toronto half marathon. So cheering squad for the missus while she was doing that.
Yes.
So I picked up this bug. It wasn't particularly cold. We were there the same time last year, and I don't remember it being as mild as this. It was relatively mild. So I don't know where I've got this bug from, but maybe the aircon on the plane or something. But yeah, really disappointed with the merch situation over there.
No Doctor Who merch?
No. When I'm there, normally frequent this comic book shop in the centre of Toronto called the Silver Snail. And I remember the first time I went there and at their previous location, and they had buckets of Doctor Who stuff, and then they moved a few years ago into the centre of town. And they've been whittling down the amount of merch. And I'm no word of a lie, mate. They didn't have one piece, not one thing of Doctor Who.
Blimey, that is shocking. You'd have thought they'd have at least had like something, an old book lingering around or something or other, wouldn't you?
Yes, well, I did ask because I bought a couple of comics in there. That was my lot, really. But I did say to the guy who was working there, so where's all the Who stuff? Because I came here this time last year and you didn't have a massive display, but you had a few bits out. They had a few of the TARDIS laptop style bags, not the new ones. You know, the old ones that they were like a leather material, and they, you know, they had a few of those out. They had a couple of the Fourth Doctor scarves and some figures.
Didn't you get your 720 Sonic from Canada? Yeah,
they had a few of those. Yeah, and the guy said to me, he said, we just can't sell any. He said, we've got a load of old, we had a load of older Who merch, but we discounted it quite heavily and got rid of it all because we just had stock to clear. But we're not buying any more Doctor Who stuff because it just, you know,
doesn't sell. From
the Series 11 stuff, you know, just nobody was buying it.
I had a thing yesterday. I was in Birmingham yesterday, and Birmingham, and I went into the Forbidden Planet there because they've moved since I last went. I haven't been to Birmingham for years, and I thought, as we're in Birmingham, I must go and check out the new Forbidden Planet. Although I think they've been there a couple of years now. And it was like walking into sort of a futuristic void. It was lovely because it was so empty, you could look round. But on the downside, when I finally found the tiny little Doctor Who section, there was nothing in it. It was literally 2 rows of the 13th Doctor, you know, like the Titan figures that we talked about recently, the tiny sort of 3-inch Titan figures that are in a box. The 13th Doctor Dull, of course, the 13th Doctor Pop, and it was just rows of it, and that was it. And there was a couple of books and a couple of big Finish CDs, nothing at all. And I thought, oh well, I kind of to be expected because the London store's the same, so you know, no big shocker there. But I went into B&M. And I was just to see if they got any of these, you know, the classic sets that they've been getting in, because I'm still after a couple of the Dalek ones. And I spoke to the guy, and all I could find on the shelf was a couple of really old 3-figure sets. So they had like the
Ninth Doctor and Rose.
The Ninth Doctor.
I saw those the other day. Yep.
And I said, you haven't got any of the new ones that come out? He went, oh no, he got really excited. He's like, oh no, they all sold really quickly. He said, but I've been trying to get some more because we can't get enough of the. He goes, what do you call it? The TARDIS. I said, yeah, the TARDIS. Yeah. He goes, oh yeah, we can't get enough of them. He said they just literally fly off sale, but that's all we got them. He goes, oh no, hang on a minute, I have got something. And I thought, oh, what's he got? He goes, I've just reduced all of these to £5. And he took me around to the other side of the shelf. And it was literally a whole shelf of that 10-inch Jodie doll. He's like, they've gone down to £5. And I was like, oh, yeah, no, don't want that. But bless him, he's so excited. Yeah, it's just merch side, mate. It's just very drab at the minute, really. I mean, I really liked those classic sets, the B&M ones. And they've sold really well. So it's great that classic stuff's still doing well, but in terms of new series merch, well, I guess with the series not being on as well, just doesn't help. But everywhere I go, I see that blimmin' 10-inch Jodie doll. They must have made loads.
Yeah, I think so. I think they overestimated how well that would
the comeback,
the
sell. Big comeback. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, I did go into. There was another shop that we go into as well called Hot Topic. We've spoken about those guys a few times on the pod, and they don't really specialize in merchandise. They're more of a clothes shop, but they do have things like Funko Pops and figures and stuff. And they had one of the Sonics left, 13th Doctor Sonic.
Yeah.
And they had an old 11th Doctor's bow tie up on the shelf. And they had some T-shirts, to be fair, but they weren't anything new. They were just official. Yeah. You know, the black T-shirt with the yellow logo with the white outline TARDIS. They had a few of those. But
quite like that one, actually.
Yeah, it's cool. But that's it, mate. And that's the only piece of merch that I could find in Toronto. Like,
this is it. You know, we got very excited about this new stall that's opening in Covent Garden next month. And there's been quite a buzz around it, the one that's going to sell only official Doctor Who merch. And I'm really looking forward to going and really looking forward to what they're going to get. And I've signed up to that newsletter and stuff. But it did strike me the other day. I was thinking, but what are they going to get? Because I don't think they're sort of going to get anything new. That there's not going to be, it's not just going to be a whole stall of 13th Doctor figures, is it? It's just because I'm sort of thinking there's nothing at the minute. There's nothing particularly new out, is there? But maybe it's going to be old stuff. You know, maybe it's sort of like stuff a bit like I think they're called Toy Box Treasures or something. They get like merch from the past that's still in really good condition. You know, the collectors have sold on, and so maybe it'd be like some of the classic figures. Oh wow, not classic figures. I mean, like from the 10th Doctor era, those ones. And I don't know, I'm really intrigued to see what they get. But gosh, I'm going to be so disappointed if it's just like another load of 13th Doctor dolls, which I don't think it will be. I think they've made too much of a hoo-ha about the stall and stuff for it just to be that. But
I think I feel the same way. I think it would be a bit of an anticlimax if they just started selling 13th Doctor or Kawaii figures. You can get them
Kawaii,
anywhere.
Yeah, you love the Kawaii, don't you? Yeah,
it might be the old TARDIS salt and pepper shakers.
Some
barbecue tongs.
What is it? The Sonic barbecue prongs.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh gosh, remember those? Never did get them, thank goodness. TARDIS slippers, maybe.
I've got those. Yeah,
you've got those. Yeah,
I've got 11th Doctor's Sonic bottle opener. That's pretty sweet because every time you open the bottle, it makes the sound. Yeah.
I've just realised I don't know where it is, but I've got the 11th Doctor Sonic screwdriver. That's a screwdriver somewhere.
Wow, how
it was pretty cool. Yeah, it was pretty cool because you opened it up and it had all the various screwdriver heads inside, and when you closed it, it looked like it was a pretty good replica of it. But it's just struck me, I have not seen that for ages. Where's that gone? It's a bit like I went out for a meal with my partner after we went shopping yesterday, and we were surrounded by Halloween stuff, and there was a plastic skeleton hanging from the wall, and I suddenly was like, "Where's my plastic skeleton gone?" And he was like, "What?" I said, "I've got one of these. I haven't seen it for years. Now, where's that gone?" And I'm just suddenly noticing that things are. I reckon stuff's being sold on eBay behind my back.
Well,
he doesn't need that anymore. Let's declutter without him knowing.
Well, it's funny you say that. We did mention that years ago. I remember that vividly. We were saying that it will get to a point where our partners are just like, this is ridiculous. Yeah. So they're just going to start secretly selling it off very slowly so we don't notice.
I'm trying to think, what else is missing? Where's K9? Nightmare. So apart from Toronto, mate, have you managed to cram in any reading or Doctor Who?
No, I haven't, mate. No, because I've been away and stuff. Obviously, I watched our review story, Wedding of Sarah Jane Smith. I watched parts 1 and 2 in the hotel lobby.
I was wondering where you were going to fit it in terms of your trip, because I watched it last night. But I was thinking, you'll be travelling back, and I was wondering if you're watching it this morning or
Yeah. So
did you watch it on your own or with your?
No, just on my phone, with my headphones on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, it was good. It was a good way because we had to check out by 12, but our taxi to the airport wasn't leaving until 3:00, something like that. So I had a few hours to kill in the lobby after we went for a walk. So yeah, it was good.
Well, I'll talk about it when we get to the review, but because I normally end up watching these things on my own, but this one went on and I was watching it with my other half. I'll come back to that when we get to the review, because I found the reaction quite interesting, considering normally I'll put it on and he'll be like, "Oh well, you watch that, then I'll go and start soaring down a tree or something." You know what I mean? As soon as it goes on, it's like, "Oh, well, I'm not really interested. I'll go and find something to do." But it was interesting. But I'll come to that. I haven't really been doing much. I did get the lovely new Doctor Who The Special Steel book.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Which is nice, actually. I can't remember. Have you got this pre-ordered, or are you going to get this?
No, I haven't pre-ordered it, but I will pick it up, though.
Yeah, it does look good. I'm not sure who's done the artwork for this one.
Tom Webster.
Is it Tom Webster? Right, yeah. Okay, because I really like it. It really fits in nicely with the other ones, apart from Series 3, which stands out like a sore thumb. It just is because you put them all together and they all look lovely, and Series 3 just looks like some fan-made knockoff. It really annoys me because I love Series 3. Sorry to the artist, by the way. That's I don't mean to be rude, but it's just my own personal opinion. I just really don't think that's up there with the rest of them, but this one does look nice. I really like it. I haven't had a chance to dive into it yet, though, and I might be wrong here. By the time this pod comes out, people will know, but I think it's got a new David Tennant interview on it, and I also think it's got the episode we're reviewing today on it. I think it's got the Wedding of Sarah Jane on it as an extra as well. But I can't confirm that because I literally haven't had a chance to dive into it yet. I've also heard, and again, unconfirmed, but somebody who has had a chance to dive into the set, I've heard that they've messed up the Next Doctor episode, which is a bit annoying. So apparently they've somehow managed to use a US version of the transfer and upscaled it so it looks grainy as hell. The sound's terrible, and it's got 2 black bars either side of it. Now, I don't know if this is true. I just saw this all on Twitter last night, and I was thinking, oh, BBC, if this is true, why can't you get someone to check this stuff before it goes out? But as I said, I haven't had a chance to even open mine yet, so it's all unconfirmed.
Oh no!
But yeah. I don't know. It might. I don't know if that's. But that would be a bit annoying if it has. I mean, I've got the specials Blu-ray, so I've got that one in there. If that is true, I probably wouldn't bother replacing it just for that. But be a bit annoying.
Yeah, no, I read you, but I can confirm what you are saying now because. We had a very quick chat about this before we started recording, so I've had a quick look while the intro was going on.
Yeah.
And I think you must have seen this in Doctor Who magazine. So there was a full-page spread in Doctor Who magazine, and it lists out what this new steelbook includes. And yes, it does include The Wedding of Sarah Jane Smith, parts 1 and 2.
Oh, great.
For the first time in HD, which is awesome. And a brand new David Tennant interview with the addition of the 2 animated stories, the Infinity Quest and Dreamland.
It's pretty good then, actually. So it's a nice little set.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, as I said, I'll try and confirm next week about the next Doctor episode if that's true. It'd be a bit annoying, but yeah, it's a lovely steelbook, and yeah, it's nice they put a few new extras on as well. Yeah, especially the Sarah Jane.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah, especially watching that in HD. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, very cool. But apart from that, I haven't been up to much, I'm afraid. It's been all work and no play on my end.
Ah, dear.
So, yeah. So it's just sat there sealed, waiting to be opened, that steelbook.
In light of that, then, shall we land the TARDIS and get up some news?
Alrighty.
Virtual reality. VR.
Is a Jamiroquai song.
We had a VR game for Who, didn't we, a few months back?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Which I believe done okay. I think that was produced by the BBC.
Yeah, I saw some screenshots from it, the 13th Doctor one.
That's right.
With the console. It's weird, isn't it? Because without going off the subject, it's strange how the 13th Doctor's TARDIS looks good in sort of cartoon animated form. It really kind of suits that. I mean, I don't like it at all really in the series, but I saw the sort of screenshots of that game and thought, oh, her console looks good in a game.
In a game, yeah.
Yeah, in a game, yeah.
It's a bit lighter and stuff, isn't it? So
yeah.
But yes, there's another VR game coming next month, November 12th. This is a new feature-length proper video. I think the last one was a bit of a teaser.
Yeah, like a test.
Yeah. I think, it was a full-on game, but I don't think there was many hours of content. Whereas this one looks like a full-blown proper game, which is good. It's called The Edge of Time. And it's from publisher Playstack, and the developer studio is Developer Maze Theory. And they put out some artwork, and they put out the cover and all that stuff. And if you go over to their website, I'll put a link in the show notes to it. You can have a look at the all of the screenshots that they've put out and the trailers and stuff. It looks very good. And essentially, it combines action, adventure, and sci-fi, equipping players with the sonic screwdriver to solve mind-bending puzzles, escape treacherous environments, and come face-to-face with classic Doctor Who monsters, all within virtual reality. Escape from weeping angels, face off against brand new creatures, and pilot a Dalek shell to harness its fearsome weaponry in a thrilling and immersive single-player adventure. Now, this is available, on PlayStation VR, Vive and Oculus Rift, and also Steam VR. So it's out on pretty much all of the major VR outlets. And just a bit more gumph on this. So become part of Doctor Who, a thrilling single-player adventure developed by Sony London Alumni VR Worlds, the London Heist, Blood and Truth, blah, blah, blah. Wield the sonic screwdriver, as I said. Exhilarating moment-to-moment gameplay. Wield the Sonic to solve puzzles, blah, blah, blah. Stunning cinematic visuals from the Dalekanium of a Dalek shell to the stone-cold terror of a weeping angel. Experience stunning visuals. Doctor Who talent featuring Jodie Whittaker as the voice of the Doctor and Nicholas Briggs as the Daleks, with the story written by Gavin Collinson. Oculus Quest support. Experience next level immersion with Oculus Quest as you explore the Doctor Who universe without boundaries in untethered virtual reality. And yes, there you go. So it's out on the 12th of November from all of those platforms. And I'll be honest, mate, this one does look pretty good.
It does sound appealing. Yeah, I like the sound of it. Is it me, or does the TARDIS look really odd on that promotional artwork? I was trying to work out which TARDIS that is. I think it's 13th, but it's
weird,
it almost reminds me of that one. Remember the Jodie reveal? She's walking towards like the Tennant one, and it kind of reminds me of that sort of mashup of that. But I kind of like this artwork though. It looks sort of very dark and sinister, and you got the Weeping Angel and some creepy old house. Looks like Bates Motel, doesn't it? In the background there,
it does a little bit,
and a Dalek at the front. So yeah, I do think this sounds good. Yeah.
So if you're into your VR, I think most people, if you're on a console, it's PlayStation, obviously, or if you're on the Oculus stuff, this could be a good one. So 12th of November.
so funny. You say all the, because I'm not a gamer and I don't know what half of these words mean. Ocular. What's that? Is that a platform?
Oculus, yeah. So Oculus Rift is the hardware that you need to play virtual reality. If you don't have PlayStation VR.
I'm so clueless when it comes to this, but it does sound good.
It does, yes. It's a really good Star Wars VR series for Oculus as well. Just saying.
I was just going to say to you at the start of the show, actually, should we just scrap this and talk about the new Star Wars trailer? Which, boom, landed this morning.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it does look good. Anyway.
Anyway, that's the only bit of news we have. Not much else going on. Shall we see what old Grumpy Pants has got for merch?
Yeah.
Merch corner. Merch corner. Merch corner.
It's a bit rubbish, but it's pretty. It's very pretty.
Well, there you are, young man. What do you think of that now, eh? A Viking helmet.
I know, it's on the telly. It's everywhere.
I don't know whether to be impressed or disgusted. I work in a shop now. Here to help.
I'm glad you're doing that news because I can't do that. I just can't do it.
Sil, our green little friend.
Little green friend.
What's he done to Ace? That is Ace on the... Well, it's not Ace, is it? It's Sophie Aldred.
It is.
On the front there with him, yeah.
So we're getting a double whammy of Sil next month.
Blimey.
Yes. So we are getting the original newly produced drama series from the world of Doctor Who called Sil and the Devil Seeds of Arador, which sounds very cool. So this is an original drama featuring Sil, the ruthless alien entrepreneur from planet Thoros Beta, who appeared obviously first in the Colin Baker era on Vengeance of Varos and Trial of a Time Lord, and is once again played by the same actor, Nabil Shaban. And a little bit of blurb on this one. Sil is worried, very worried, which doesn't keep his reptilian skin in the best condition. Confined in a cold detention cell on the moon, awaiting a deportation hearing while on trial for drugs offences committed on Earth, he faces a death sentence if the application is successful and he is found guilty. His powerful employers at the Universal Monetary Fund aren't too pleased about that, not at all. As time runs out and friends desert him, Sil must use all of his devious, vile, underhanded, ruthless, and amoral business acumen to survive. Can he possibly slime his way out of this one?
Like that.
So this one looks kind of interesting. Interesting to note, one of our reviewers for the website, Mark Donaldson, actually got hold of an early review copy for this.
Oh, yeah.
So our review for this will be dropping on Monday, actually. Monday the 29th. We'll get our review out on this one. And it looks kind of cool. So that's out on the 4th of November, I believe. You can pre-order that from the usuals, Amazon. I think... what's the website you usually use? Something for...
Oh, Galaxy 4.
Galaxy 4, sorry. I think it's going to be out on there. And it will be priced around £17, £18. And then the next bit of Sil action will be one of those cool The Doctors release. These are both from Koch Media, by the way. And so these guys put out these unofficial documentary style DVDs. This one is called The Doctor's More Monsters. I think we spoke about this a couple of episodes ago.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
Yes, and it essentially features 6 documentaries with in-depth reviews and interviews with Nabil Shaban, which is obviously Syl that we're talking about. It's also got Christopher Ryan, who played Kiv in The Trial of a Time Lord, Stephen Thorne, who played Omega, Azal and Eldrad, who sadly passed, didn't he, recently?
He did, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Terry Malloy, obviously Davros, and Stuart Fell and John Davey, who have both played numerous monsters across many stories.
Yeah.
So that looks kind of cool. The Doctor's More, because there is one called The Doctor's Monsters, isn't there?
Yeah, and I've got that one, and I really enjoyed it, actually. Yeah, because these guys obviously got to sort of they give you a good insight into the behind the scenes, because although they were in the suits and you probably wouldn't necessarily recognize them if you saw them on the street, they were sort of right there in the midst of all the classic stories, so they've got some good stories to tell. Yeah, so yeah, it's quite intriguing. I'm glad they're doing another one.
Yes, this is the follow-up to that, and it's a 2-disc special edition, over 5 hours worth of interviews, which is cool. And it's presented by Robert Dick and the voice of the Daleks, old Nick Briggs.
Oh yes, he's often there.
Yes,
flown around.
Yeah, so a couple of cool. If you're into Syl, if you like that character, November's a good month for you. So they're both out on the 4th of November, and the other one we mentioned, The Doctor's More Monsters DVD, that's going to be a bit cheaper, somewhere between £10 and £15, and that's again out on the 4th of November. So if Syl's your thing. It's going to be a good month for you.
I look forward to the review dropping. I'll give that a quick read because I'm intrigued. I've watched the trailer for the drama that's coming out, and so I'll be interested to hear. Who did you say has done the review?
Mark Donaldson, one of our writers. Yeah.
Look forward to hearing Mark's thoughts on that one.
Yes.
Okay, I'm about to use the C word, Gary. So you better you better get the bleep machine ready. Yes, Christmas is.
We haven't even had Halloween. We haven't had Halloween yet.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say it, but Christmas is fast approaching, believe it or not. It'll be here before we know it. And the Christmas jumpers have started to arrive, and there's a Doctor Who one this year. Now, I don't think they've managed to top the one that you bought. What would that be, 2-3 years ago? You've got the sort of blue one. Now, has it got a Cyberman saying delete? Am I thinking the right thing?
I can't remember.
What's the one that you've got?
Yeah.
I know I really liked it, and I know that I couldn't, when I went to order one for myself, I couldn't get it. So I ended up getting this horrible red one instead. But I know the one you've got is really nice. Anyway, they don't do that anymore, sadly. But there is a new one coming out, which is available to order from Forbidden Planet. Looks a different style because yours is sort of wool and it's like a woolly jumper, isn't it? Like mine.
Yeah, it's a knitted thing.
Knitted.
Yeah.
Whereas this is more of a, what do you call this sort of top?
Yeah, it's more of a sweatshirt with a design
on
the front. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's got a TARDIS on the front with a bit of mistletoe, is it?
It's a Christmas wreath on the front.
That's it, Christmas wreath. And K9's at the bottom. Obviously, it's got snow on there, and it says, "Back on Earth, we call this Christmas." And it's very nice, actually. So this is the well, it's classed as the male jumper, but I think you could say it's unisex, this one.
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, do I have a price for it for those that want to? Because this is available from Forbidden Planet.
20 squids.
20 squids.
Yeah. You can pre-order it now.
19. Yeah. I'm going to be honest. It's okay. It might look better in hand. When I first saw this, I thought, there's just something about it. It's a bit bland, I think, but the actual thing might be all right. What do you think of it?
I think you're absolutely right. I think it could look kind of cool once you look at it, But yeah, on a screen like this, it looks a bit flat. Doesn't look too great, but you never know.
It does look a bit flat. Emp.co.uk, I'm not sure if that's how you say it, emp.co.uk. They are doing this is classed as a woman's TARDIS Christmas jumper. This looks a bit more festive to me. This is kind of the sort of thing I would expect to see on Christmas Day. It's a knitted. It's got TARDIS on the front. It says Happy Hula Days, spelled Hula Days, and it's got some knitted Cybermen and Daleks on it and snowflakes, and very much I would consider this a proper Christmas jumper. I think the other one's a bit of a half don't want to say the word expletive attempt at a Christmas jumper. This although it is just for the ladies, it says, I think this is more Christmassy personally, and that's available from EMP, I don't know how you say it, .co.uk, and it will set you back. Let's have a look. What price is this one?
This one you're paying for the Christmassy knitted feel with this one. So this one's $51.99. Yeah.
Oh no!
Wow.
Far too much.
Yeah.
I can't see anyone paying. I mean, it's nice, but I can't see anyone paying 50 quid for that. Anyway, yeah, if you like it and you've got a spare 50 quid, maybe you want to put it on your Christmas list and ask Santa for it. Yeah, not too bad. Maybe. So Christmas jumpers, they're on their way.
They're on their way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then last bit of news, we have some more Doctor Who vinyl from Big Finish.
I always get excited by these. Yeah.
Yeah. So over the past year, we've seen exclusives for various companies. We've seen Sainsbury's, we've seen previous Asda ones, we've seen HMV and whatnot. So this one is one of the Asda exclusives, and this one is a McGann 8th Doctor story called Max Warp. And let me just find some gumph on this. So welcome to Max Warp, broadcasting live from the Sirius Inter G Cruiser show. Hosted by outspoken columnist and media personality Jeffrey Vantage. Let me get that right. Media personality Jeffrey Vantage, with spaceship guru extraordinaire O'Reilly and daredevil pilot Timbo the Ferret. Following the sellout success of Big Finish Productions' limited edition Doctor Who adventure The Creeping Death on vinyl, which is a previous Asda, earlier in the year, the audio company has announced another exclusive collab and is now bringing the world of Max Warp to Asda. So this is going to be a 2000 edition run, and it's going to have a cool colour splatter effect vinyl. And it will also have some brand new artwork with some production notes that you wouldn't have seen previously from Big Finish. You asked me before what I felt about this one in terms of the cover art. And so, yeah. So the actual vinyl itself, I love. It looks very, very cool.
I like that, yeah.
But the front cover art, do you know what? I'm not sure about the font that they've used. I think it's okay.
It looks like Top Gear, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they've gone for this kind of racetrack, Americanized, big, style. I mean, don't get me wrong, it looks good. It looks okay. But the vinyl itself looks a lot better than the cover art. And the image they've used of McGann as well is one that you've seen a billion times in lots of different things. So not as original for that stuff, but yeah. What do you reckon?
I love the fact they're doing more of these vinyls because I love collecting them. It's an odd choice of story, Max Warp. I have to say, it's not one I would have picked in a million years. Not that it's bad, but just an odd choice because there's some great ones in the Eighth Doctor's adventures that they could have picked. But yeah, that kind of makes it a bit more interesting. The cover, I agree with you. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, what? It just looks so busy. But I reckon you're right. I think it is just that I don't like that typo that they've used. So if you took out the if you took off that, I think it's quite a nice cover. My heart just sinks every time they do give these to Asda, though. I mean, I literally, as soon as I read that, my heart sank because there's no Asda near me. They never, ever have a clue when you phone them up asking, if they've got it. I mean, at least Sainsbury's, they tend to be more helpful, or they certainly have been in my experience, like when it comes to these vinyls. I think they've got to know, the Doctor Who fans are going to be coming to get them and they ought to know about them and stuff. But yeah, Asda, it's just that doesn't do anything for me at all. But I will try and track this down if I can. I think it's an interesting one. I mean that in a good way. It's an interesting choice. It's an interesting looking vinyl. It's an unusual style cover. So I am definitely going to try and get this, but just wish it wasn't Asda personally.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying something new, aren't they? And the cast is quite interesting as well.
It is, yeah.
It's a Doctor and what's her face?
Sheridan Smith.
Yeah, Sheridan Smith story. But they're always very good. Yeah, Sheridan there.
She's brilliant, actually. Very as Lucy Miller, yeah. I really like those two together.
Yeah, but it also stars, very surprisingly, the Duncan James from the pop group Blue is because I think he did turn kind of actor, didn't he? I believe after Blue went a bit south.
Oh, maybe.
I think he was in Corrie. I could be wrong, but I think he was in Corrie for a while, something else. So he is flexing his acting muscles a little bit. And also, what's his face? James Fleet. If you're a fan of The Vicar of Dibley, you'll know him as...
oh, it's him.
Yeah, Hugo Horton from The Vicar of Dibley. So great actor. And so an interesting supporting cast with this one as well. So... yeah, you can tell they've definitely tried something different with this. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it's got that god-awful bloody big green Asda sticker on the front. So that'll have to come straight off.
Yeah, because the last one they did, the last vinyl was Asda green, wasn't it? It was really gross. Yeah. I can't remember what you called it.
Snot-coloured vinyl.
Snot-coloured green, yeah. At least this one, I do love the look of the vinyl. I think it looks that white and it's got it looks like someone's dropped two tins of paint on it, doesn't it? Like yellow and black. On a white vinyl.
Yeah, that looks cool though.
It does look good. Yeah. Oh yeah, I meant it in a good way.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, it looks good. So it's out on the 15th of November, isn't it?
It is out on... yeah, you're right. Yeah, the 15th.
15th of November. Yeah, okay. See if I can get one.
Yeah.
Might have to call on a few mates.
Could be
Going
cool.
to Asda lately. Going to Asda lately, mate. Get me a vinyl, will you?
Pick me up my vinyl, will you? Yeah.
They won't know. Got that Doctor Who vinyl. Anyway. See if I can get one.
Yeah, that could be cool. So yeah, let us know. Any listeners that pick this one up. I normally have a look on Twitter and Instagram whenever these exclusive vinyls are dropping. You normally see a bunch of people who post pics when they pick them up. So yeah, that could be cool.
Yes.
Right, that's it for news and merch. Let's move on to our review. What we got this week, dude?
Yeah, so this is because we had a little break recently. This has been one that I've been really looking forward to watching. I heard some great stuff about this one. So let's see if it lives up to the hype. It's the Sarah Jane adventure called The Wedding of Sarah Jane Smith.
She's off again.
Right, we're coming over.
Why is she lying to us?
His name is Peter Dalton. We're getting married.
Am I supposed to call him Dad?
Oh, Clyde, Peter is not an alien.
I've made you all so suspicious. But this is a happy thing, and I want you all to be part of it.
Time stopped.
Time trap.
The Trickster doesn't want us helping Sarah, so he's separated us. Trapped us in 2 different seconds. All you have to say is, I do. And if you don't, you'll remain here forever.
Trickster!
Not Sarah, without you lot. Saving the world from your attic and Ealing. Chaos and destruction. Meat and drink to the Trickster.
Come on now!
The old Trickster's back.
He's back.
Yeah.
Tricky Trickster.
So this one was a 2-parter, as they all are, I believe, aren't they, Sarah Jane?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yep, and this was back in the BBC days, so they go out the day after each other, which is good. You don't have to wait a week to see the conclusion. So the first part went out on the 29th of October 2009, and then part 2 went out on the 30th, the day after. It was written by Gareth Roberts, directed by Old Roberts, yeah, directed by Joss Agnew, overseen by Gary Russell, and it stars the usual Attic crew plus Mr. David Tennant as the Doctor on this one, and a little bit of synopsis for you. So Sarah Jane starts to act a wee bit suspicious. So Luke Clyde Rani and K9, helped begrudgingly by Mr. Smith, kick into investigative mode, and they discover, after spying, that she has a wee boyfriend, Mr. Dalton, Peter Dalton. And they go through the motions of dating and whatnot, and he pops the question, asks Sarah Jane to marry him. Clyde suspects that Peter might be an alien, of all things. And then later on, when we get to the wedding, an old enemy returns, the Trickster.
Yeah.
And we find out his grand plan. And then as the gang find themselves trapped in a time loop, which is out of sync with Sarah and Peter, they rely on a very special friend who's turned up to save Sarah and a bit of a sacrifice needed, but all is well in the end. And they save the world from the Trickster. So I've really been looking forward to this one because some of our listeners, if you've listened, for a while, you will know that Adam and I are going through these fresh. We have not seen any of these SJA stories before. I don't think you've seen this one, have you? You said you'd watched a few of them. No.
I think I've seen, literally a handful at the most. I've never seen this one before.
Yeah, so we're going into it fresh. It's all good. But I was looking forward to this one because we knew that Tennant was in this story.
Yeah.
So it's always a bit of a highlight to see how he's going to be in something that's not the main Doctor Who show. So I've really been looking forward to watching this particular two-parter. So, dude, what do you reckon to this one?
Yeah, same as you. It's kind of, I knew it was coming. It's a bit like the Brigadier episode. I kind of knew it was coming up and people rave about it. And so, yeah, your hypes are high. And I can see why people like this one. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I didn't want my expectations to be too high because people really do big this one up. So, I thought, just go into it fresh and stuff. I loved it. I thought it was great. It didn't disappoint at all. Very easy to follow story. Really humorous as well. Great script. And also really, as usual, really touching. My goodness, the ending with Sarah Jane when she just looks so fragile. It's not a side we see of Sarah Jane very often. To see her like that. I thought both parts were excellent. Really, really enjoyed it. Wasn't disappointed at all. Thought it was great. Yeah, really hit the spot. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, ditto, mate.
Hey, thank goodness. I thought, oh man, imagine if he doesn't like this, because I know how much you like Tennant, and I thought you must be looking forward to seeing him in Sarah Jane, because we've been loving this Sarah Jane ride so far. So yeah. So good. So it hit the spot, this one. Yeah,
it certainly did, mate. And I'm going to say, not just because David Tennant's in it.
No, not at all. No,
it wasn't one of those stories where we felt that he popped up and carried it because it was a weak story. It was actually, even if the Doctor wasn't in this one, it's still a great story. Really, really good. It's
Agreed.
Just a bonus that he makes an appearance, and it must have been tough. It must have been tough for David Tennant because one of our buddies, old Rick Moran. Sorry, I shouldn't say old. Our old mate. So yeah, our buddy Rick. He when he was tweeting his review, he mentioned that although the Doctor's appearance in this is within the same chronological order as the main show Doctor Who, David Tennant filmed all this stuff after he did The End of Time Part 2. So he'd already finished as the Doctor. That was all done. So this is his final ever appearance as the Doctor, if you don't include the 50th anniversary, the Day of the Doctor, in terms of the normal show running, that stuff. So it must have been really tough for him to have hung up the Sonic and the coat and stuff, and then think, oh, it's not quite over. It's almost like every actor who plays Who kind of goes through that, I suppose, at one point in their lives, where it's like it's never over. There's always something else. Because I think we mentioned the special features on the Specials Blu-ray Steelbook that we meant earlier on.
Yeah,
and I remember in one of the, alongside the Doctor Who Confidential stuff, there's also this David Tennant video diary that he does as well, with he's got his own camcorder.
That's right. Yeah,
and I remember him saying, because I think this is either the very, very last or the second to last, because he did mention on there that once he'd finished The End of Time Part 2, he had to come back a few weeks later and film an ident for BBC Two back in the day. And I remember this advert on BBC Two. There's those little sort of 10-second clips that they play while the announcer is telling you what program's about to come up.
Yeah.
There was a bit where he's on a sled with the reindeers and stuff, and it goes around the TARDIS and stuff.
I remember that.
Yeah. So he had to come back and film that as well. So I don't know if that's the last thing he did or if this is but anyway, it must have been weird for him to have had that emotional ending, because if you look at the confidential bit, there's a bit at the end where he's in tears basically, and
yeah,
it's very emotional. So it must be weird to have all that and then just shuffle back into the studios and do all this stuff as the Doctor again. So anyway, David Tennant aside, it's a cracking story, really, really good, really emotional. And to be honest with you, mate, this is just what Doctor Who should be like.
Well, that brings me very nicely onto what I was saying right at the start of the show about my partner, who normally, when I put Doctor Who on, so he does like Doctor Who, but if it's like if we're reviewing a classic or Torchwood, he's normally not too bothered, so he'll go off and do his thing. Although he did watch Torchwood last time, but with this one, I thought it'd be interesting because he was sat on the sofa, just I don't know what he was doing, but I thought I will get up and go in a minute. I'm putting Sarah Jane on because we're reviewing it tomorrow. I'll put it on. I thought I'll just see how long he stays for, and he was there right to the end. And at one point he needed the loo, and he's like, it was right at the end. He was like, just see if they. And I thought I haven't seen him sort of that, sort of captivated by Doctor Who, although this isn't Doctor Who, but for quite some time.
Cool.
So it's quite interesting that this little, in brackets, kid/family show held his attention for both episodes. And he's not a big Doctor Who fan of it. And I thought, because it was just, coming back to the script, such a good, fun, emotional, it just hits every sort of point that it needs to hit. It hits it, I think. It just flows so brilliantly, I think, from part 1 to part 2. Like you said, even if Tennant hadn't been in it, he doesn't just waltz in and save Sarah Jane. And, there was no sort of like the 12th Doctor in Class moment where he just waltzes in and you think, oh, here he is.
I was thinking that. Yeah.
Tells it, yeah. So it does. I just think it's a really good sort of little two-parter. It's fun, it's emotional, it's just a really good little story. And Tennant is great. It was brilliant to see him. I mean, I love the fact that we keep hearing the TARDIS now and again, because that's the first time it happens. That's such a strange moment. It almost feels like a mistake. You're like, what happened there then? Because you hear the TARDIS sound effect. They don't really seem to notice it because I suppose they wouldn't know what it is. It's Rani and Clyde, isn't it? I think. They're sort of looking through the shop window,
right.
through Clyde. The cafe window, sorry, yeah. So you sort of hear the TARDIS coming, but then nothing happens. And you're like, what happened there then? And then a little bit later on, you hear it again, and it's sort of all juddery. It's not quite the TARDIS sound effect. So I loved that. So you kind of had this you knew he was coming. You knew the TARDIS was coming, but you just didn't know when. I mean, I kind of guessed it was going to be the cliffhanger, which, by the way, was brilliant.
Amazing.
If I'd have been watching this on the TV back in the day, I would have just been like, wow, that was such a great cliffhanger. Like, I'm so glad they didn't leave it a week, because I think you'd be, it really left you wanting to go straight on to the next episode. But yeah, great entrance by Tennant. I've always loved the blue suit. I think he looks fantastic when he comes out of that TARDIS in the blue suit and the long coat, which he always throws off. I was waiting for him to get rid of the coat. So, yeah, just a great entrance from him. But like you said, it didn't feel forced. It didn't feel like, oh, here's the Doctor come to save the day. It felt like, he was just part of the story. And you couldn't, there were scenes that I couldn't wait to see, which I knew were going to come, which was, the Doctor sort of seeing Sarah again. I kept thinking, surely they're going to go in the TARDIS. Come on, because there's that bit where poor old Clyde tries to go in the TARDIS and he sort of gets electrocuted, kind of, doesn't he? He doesn't make it in. When he's sort of trying to go in, and then and he gets the energy from it. So I was thinking, oh, come on, surely we're going to get inside the TARDIS at some point, which we do. That was brilliant when they all go inside. So it's just brilliant. I just loved it from start to finish. Honestly, it just hit every spot for me. I just loved it. It was sort of nostalgic without feeling like dated. Yeah.
And it's great, really. I think Gareth Roberts did a brilliant job, with this script.
I do think it was a great script, yeah.
Purely because there's quite a lot in it. There literally is. There's loads of little things in it that, at face value, they kind of just sweep along, and you just sort of go with the story because, I'm unsure on their original motive for including the Doctor and how in depth they wanted to go with him as a character. If you were a younger viewer and all you've watched is the Sarah Jane Adventures and you hadn't seen Doctor Who yet, for whatever reason, I think they found that good balance of excuse the pun, this alien character, who's this guy? Because they, Sarah Jane mentions the Doctor quite frequently throughout all of her, all of the series so far. So I'm hoping that viewers would have heard about the Doctor if they hadn't seen the main show. But it was great that you didn't need to know tons of backstory to figure out who the Doctor was and why he was there and all that stuff. But then if you flip that on its head, there's a couple of moments where, for example, the Trickster, he calls the Doctor the man of ice and fire.
Which is great.
Which is a lead on from the Family of Blood episode. There's a conversation around that. The young lad, he does that awesome little speech where he describes the Doctor as that. So they bring little elements of the actual main show and how the Doctor's described. And then there's that awkward little bit as well where the Doctor's kind of cocky. The Trickster's shown up, but then the Trickster sort of hits him with that, who are you to talk to me about being alone? You've lost everybody that you've travelled with, because the Doctor is alone. It's a heartbreak. That a bit at the end where Sarah Jane said goodbye and everyone's gone. It's just the Doctor by himself in the TARDIS, isn't it? And so there's those bits there where, as a Doctor Who fan, it's like, oh, this is amazing because you're referencing stuff that we know about. But as a brand new viewer, if you've never seen Doctor Who before, but you're a younger viewer just watching SJA, it's like, oh, cool. There's this, I'm not lost. I'm not baffled by this because it's all kind of direct dialogue. There's no twists and turns. There's no surprise thing. So I love that stuff. I think Gareth, the script is just spot on. It's really sharp. And the other thing I like as well is that the performances were not altered either intentionally or subconsciously by the other actors. I would imagine that if you were Tommy Knight and Daniel Anthony, the Attic members, the quite young cast members, I would imagine that you would have been a bit starstruck when David Tennant arrives on set and you have to interact with him and do all that stuff. I mean, Elizabeth Sladen was probably completely used to it at this point,
Yeah.
And I think her character's so strong that she wouldn't have been fazed by it anyway. But I think it's great that people like Clyde are still throwing in those cheeky little one-liners.
He was good in this.
Yeah. Tommy Knight, he's still got that kind of worried, really
almost
worried. Innocent, about his mum and stuff. And you got Rani, who's very strong and stuff. So I think it's great that the performances were not influenced by a big presence like David Tennant, because he does control the scene. Let's be honest. Whenever David Tennant's on screen, there's such a big aura about him and a big vibe and stuff. The energy is amazing. So I think throughout the story as well, those guys they put in such a great performance.
I do. I think the cast are just gelling so well. It's a bit like, even at the start when K9's there, I'm thinking, K9's part of the group now. Feels like he's always been there. Doesn't sort of feel like, they're trying to write him in. The cast just gel brilliantly. I mean, they always have, but they've really settled into their roles. The reason I said that Daniel Anthony as Clyde was good this week is because we've said, as a minor criticism, because we've been loving Sarah Jane, but we said sometimes it does feel like they don't know what to do with Clive other than give him silly one-liners to say. We still had that in this, but they were funny. They didn't sort of fall flat. And also, he was really getting stuck into the action. The bit where he goes up to the Trickster in the void was amazing. So he was utilised really well as a character this week as well. I was trying to work out where this would be set in Tennant's, because I was thinking, like you said, he's travelling on his own. So is this towards the end of the Doctor's regeneration? I'm guessing it's somewhere towards the end, because he knows Luke as well, which threw me at first, because I was like, how does he know Luke? Because obviously he's met Sarah Jane in school reunion. He introduces himself to the Rani and Clyde, but I was like, but he seems to know Luke, and that was bugging me, and I couldn't work out where. I was thinking, well, it can't be from when he saves him, because that hasn't happened yet, as far as we know. But you were saying it's from...
So Journey's End. So
Journey's End.
Journey's End. Yeah, there's that. There's that scene, isn't there, where they all amplify the phone signal, and they reach the Doctor in the TARDIS, who's in orbit around the Earth.
Oh, yeah, I vaguely remember actually. Yeah.
And you've got the computer monitors divided into 4. You've got Martha, you've got what's her face, Harriet, MP for
Fly Down North.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and then you've got Captain Jack, I believe, and then in the other one you've got Sarah Jane, and you've got K9 and Luke there with her. So I think it must be from that.
It's got to be. Yeah, which makes sense. It was just bugging me at the time watching this. I was like, how does he know Luke? Where have they met? But where do you think this comes in terms of the 10th Doctor's story arc? Do you think this is towards the end? Because he's got very long sideburns, I notice. So,
I think so. I think this is somewhere within the specials series.
Yeah.
I think anyway, because he's travelling by himself. There's no companion at this point.
No companion, is there? No.
So I think at the end of series 4, so we say goodbye to Donna, don't we?
Yeah.
And we've had all the stuff with Rose come back into it, and all that's done. And so I believe, I could be wrong, but it feels to me like this is somewhere within the specials timeline. So from the next Doctor, but not quite as far as, say, the Waters of Mars, because he seems like a very harsh Doctor in that one, So I think around the time of it just from his performance and the way he is, it feels like the next Doctor-ish around there, before we get to like the dark vengeance of the Time Lord stuff.
I think you're probably right. I mean, I think Tennant slips so brilliantly back into the role of the Doctor as well, doesn't he? He just seems to really, just the way he delivers his lines, like when they ask to go in the TARDIS, he's like, "You want to come in my TARDIS? Yeah, come on in." Just the way he flips. Like, I love that. It's such a Tennant sort of way of doing it. So he just, he didn't feel like, he doesn't quite feel right, or you can tell he left and he's come back, and just effortlessly sort of fits back into the role of the Doctor. I think he's just funny, and he switches to dark, and the action sort of side of the 10th Doctor is it was really nice to see him back. I'm not going to lie, although Tennant's not my favourite sort of Doctor from the new series. I do always love his performance. I don't know, it's just a bit like you said earlier, there's something about when he's on screen, he's absolutely captivating, and I think that's what kept my partner watching, was just like, I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it. It reminded me of the good old days.
Oh, here we go.
No, it really did, because me and my other half did used to watch Doctor Who together during the Tennant era. We watched all of the Tennant era together. Even ones where, that wasn't so good, but it always sort of watched it to the end together. I can't think of sort of any story, where we didn't. So it was nice. I think there was a bit of that yesterday when I was watching this with my partner. I thought, we haven't done this for a while. This is really nice. And I am going to say a lot of that was down to Tennant. I think it was sort of reliving a bit of the glory years, I felt, because it does have that great feeling that we had during that era. I don't care what you say, we've definitely lost something, and it's just that very easy watching, fun, side to the show, which I think is slightly gone. And that's what I love about Sarah Jane. It just feels to me like an extension of the sort of era of Doctor Who that I loved when it came back. But I think that, and I think there is an element of that is down to Tennant, I think.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, there's definitely a feeling of how. So Doctor Who around this time, and the Sarah Jane Adventures, there's definitely just something about it that, and it does. We're completely, using this a lot at the moment, but it does feel like the good old days of Who. It really does feel that way.
It really does, yeah.
But yes, it's a cracking story. So story-wise then, again, really, really easy to follow, this one.
Did you see the trick? Oh, sorry, go on.
The only bit that you maybe had to pay a little bit of attention to is when Peter Dalton, played by Nigel Havers, is trying to explain to Sarah Jane how he came up, because for a while he doesn't really go into any detail about why. We kind of got the idea when he says that he references the Trickster as the angel. So we kind of get an idea in our heads that, right, okay, something happened there with the Trickster. But he doesn't, they kind of leave it quite late into episode 2 where he actually says he fell down the stairs and the trickster appeared and kind of brought the two of them together and so on. So that's the only bit that I would have, well, I assume that younger viewers would have maybe had to have concentrated a bit to sort of get where that was going. But the rest of it, though, was just super easy. And no, I didn't see it as the trickster. I don't know about you.
No, that was what I was going to say. I didn't see when the trickster appeared. I was like, oh yes, because I did wonder like what the character of Paul, where was that going? Like I kind of felt like, is he marrying Sarah Jane just for her money? Is it going to be that obvious? Is he going to turn out to be an alien? Where, what's the twist going to be? You knew it was coming all the way up to the wedding. And there's a bit where he sort of stood outside the wedding hall and Rana's parents are sort of talking and he's just sort of slyly listening. I thought, all right, something's going to happen in a minute. He's going to turn into something or whatever. But it's not at all, really. It's the trickster. I didn't see that coming at all. And it fits perfectly with the story that he saved Paul, isn't it, the character?
Yes, yeah. Sorry, Peter. Peter Dalton.
Peter and Paul. Peter, yeah. And that's what I loved, because all the way through this story, I didn't want... You know that Sarah Jane's going to end up getting hurt. You know that. There's no way that it could end any other way, because something's got to be wrong with Peter, because we know that she doesn't get married. So I was thinking, what's it going to be? Because I don't want it to be that he turns out to be an alien and that she's been tricked. And I think the twist that the love was genuine. That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I think the way that they managed to do that was really good, because I was thinking, how can you make their relationship real? What's the twist going to be? And Gareth Roberts managed to do that, didn't he? The love was real.
Yeah, absolutely.
He did sort of lie to Sarah Jane about, the reasons and stuff, but he wasn't a bad person. And so I like that. So their relationship was real. It didn't turn out to be, a fake plan, dastardly plan. Well, you know what I mean? In terms of from Peter's side of things, it was genuine. So I really liked that twist. I'm glad that they kept that and it wasn't, just Sarah Jane being taken for a ride sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, they did cleverly throw you off course a bit, because towards the end of episode 1, I think, this is after Peter has given her engagement ring and it's glowing red, isn't it? So we know that something's not right, but we have no idea that the trickster's involved at that point. So it has to be Peter. He must be an alien or something's sort of untoward. But then they throw in his... I'm pretty sure it wasn't the trickster, but there's a bit where we hear Peter do this kind of weird evil cackle.
Laugh.
Yeah. So that...
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So I think that kind of threw you off course a little bit, because that just planted the seed really heavily that Peter was some kind of evil thing.
Unless it was the trickster laughing. I assumed it was Peter.
I'm sure it was Peter. I'm 99% sure it was him. But that doesn't align with his actual character, because he, like you said, the love was genuine there. So I don't think he would have knowingly tried to, cause her any pain or anything like that. But he did. The only sort of thing that alluded to that was she did say to him, "Why did you hypnotize me?" And he said it was just a sort of a safety net sort of thing, because we need to be together. But because he's so genuine, that evil cackle doesn't make that. That's the only thing I'm looking at my notes. That's the only thing that I knocked a half a point off, actually, was because that evil cackle that he does is just so out of character for how he is across all of the, both of the parts.
It's just there to throw you. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
It's just a red herring, but...
red herring, yeah.
Yes, but it was... Yeah, I mean, the whole trickster thing, I just love that character. The trickster's such a
brilliant character.
Yeah, like the makeup, the way they've done his voice, the overdub, that really sinister voice and so on. And the costume change is great as well, because every time...
I love it when the doctor says, "Oh, you looked better in white." I just love moments like that.
Well, it's cool, isn't it? Because he needs to appear to Peter as an angel, so he changes from black to white. So all of the scenes where Peter's involved, he's in white. The rest of the time we see him in black with the doctor. So that was kind of clever.
Yeah.
And what else was I going to say about the trickster? So I think also the other thing that I like about the trickster is that we get a little bit of backstory delivered from the Doctor, which kind of backs up his abilities, I suppose, because this isn't just an alien that's crash landed or has got a ship somewhere and is using conventional weapons or a laser gun or something like that. The Trickster is actually a pretty powerful being. And although we know that the good guys are going to win ultimately in the end, he still does dish up a little bit of, he gives them a hard time for sure. And I like the fact that the Doctor's on him straight away. As soon as the Trickster appears in front of the Doctor's on him and knows exactly who he is, where he's from. Doesn't he go through the whole pantheon of Discord?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and he's, that's when they go into the whole, I've fought you a lot before, I've taken you a lot on before and stuff, and, it doesn't suit you going solo, that stuff. So I love the fact that now that we've seen the Trickster again, because we've seen it before, and now that we know a little bit more about that character and stuff. So it's just great storytelling. It's really good.
Is the Trickster the other story? I was trying to remember now. Is that the one with Sarah Jane where she sees herself as a baby?
Back in time, yeah.
Because that's the other. I mean, this two-parter and that two-parter, they really stick in my head as the two that, if I was going to sort of, I don't know, if I was going to sort of put another one on to show my other half, I was thinking that was such a great two-parter as well with the Trickster.
That was Gareth Roberts as well. That was The Temptation of Sarah Jane Smith.
That was, because I thought that was a great two-part of that. So that one and this one, yeah. I mean, I don't think we've had a bad one yet, really. Even the one last week, which the last one we did, The Woman in the Attic, which I think had its, moments that weren't so good. I think even that I absolutely loved. But it is a great character. Absolutely love the Trickster. Brilliantly played as well. Who is it? Paul Mark Davis.
Paul Mark Davis. He's played some other Who monsters, I'm pretty certain.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I'm sure he's been in a few suits. But like you said, the makeup of that, he's scary enough to be scary, but, still fits that sort of family audience sort of thing, doesn't it?
I think he was in... Who was the dude from Class that was... the big rock,
the Shadow King,
Shadow dude. What was his name? Karakanus or something like that.
Don't know.
Yeah, he was that.
It went out.
Yeah. Incidentally, anyone who's got Netflix in the UK, Class has just been added, or in the last couple of weeks has been added to Netflix. So, if being bored is your cup of tea, then Class is on. And anyway, he plays a good evil monster / alien, Mark Paul Davis. Yeah. Before we get on to characters, just very quickly, what did you think of the ending? Because sometimes we've had this before where stories can be really, really good, but then we've complained that the ending was just rushed and tied up in a neat little bow and stuff. I actually like this ending because I can imagine a lot of the kids being in tears. Because there's that, I don't, that sounds bad, doesn't it? I don't like it because of kids crying, but I imagine the emotional wallop at the end where...
And it is a wallop.
It is, yeah, where Peter essentially has to die. He if he stays, because the Trickster has only kept him half alive. That's the crux of it. And he'll only give him like full mortality once Sarah Jane says, I do. Because once she says that and she commits, because there's this thing with the Trickster, isn't it? It's like, do I have your, what is it? Agreement, yeah. So once that happens, Sarah Jane will have forgotten everything that's gone before in her life, and it will be reset and she'll be married and happy and everything. So the Trickster has kept Peter half alive, and he'll only be full, like mortality, once he marries Sarah Jane. So he has to then make the decision, like, which is heartbreaking because he loves Sarah Jane. He really wants to be with her. And you can tell that maybe in another lifetime they would have been happy together because they're very well suited together. But he has to, and even she says to him, look, you have to die. When you fell down the stairs, you died.
That was it.
Yeah. The Trickster's using you to erase my life. This is not about you, unfortunately. This is about me. So, and he does it in great fashion as well. I love that those last few minutes from Nigel Havers is really good.
Yeah,
what do you reckon to the end?
As I said, it was a good way to end it, because it could have what I liked about it was it wasn't predictable. I kept thinking, like, how is this going to sort of tie up, and there was more to it. I think, if Gareth had been a lazier writer, he could have quite easily just tied things up very quickly. But he managed to keep the heart of the story right till the end, which I liked. He didn't just say, "Oh yeah, he's bad." That's the twist. He managed to keep the heart of the story right to the very end. I just wondered how you felt about the Doctor sort of quoting the Fourth Doctor at the end as well, because sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So,
is this
the Doctor says, Sarah Jane, don't forget me, Sarah Jane.
Oh yeah.
And I thought, okay, I thought it worked. A little bit of me was like, oh, that's maybe a bit not cheesy, but one step too far. But I did like it, actually. I did think that was quite a nice way to sort of finish it off.
I think it worked, actually. I had to think about it for a second then. No, I do think that works, because it just bridges the gap to Classic Who, doesn't it? Which Sarah Jane was a big part of. So.
And he delivers it so well, I think.
Exactly.
I think that's the way it just comes, because I wasn't expecting it. And when he said it, I was a bit like, okay, a classic quote coming in. But I liked it as well. And actually, talking of classic quotes, Sarah Jane also mentions Metabelius 3. And she manages to say it right.
Say it right, yeah.
So well done.
Yeah, that was cool, actually, yeah, because was it Matt Smith's Doctor?
Matt, yeah.
It says Metabolus, which
Metabolus 3. God dear. So that was nice to see that. I almost felt like they'd almost put it in. Oh, no, I was going to say it's a correction, but this would be before, wouldn't it? So anyway, yeah, it was nice to hear that get mentioned and said correctly as well.
Yes.
So a couple of little bits of classic in there for the fans. That's what I'm trying to get at. Yes. Which I didn't feel they were shoehorned in. I just thought they were nice little moments that if you picked up on them, you did. If you didn't pick up on them, it didn't make any difference.
Exactly.
But they were there for us, and I thought that was nice as well.
Yeah. It's a shame the Brig wasn't with us on this one. Apparently, Nick Courtney was pretty ill at this point. I think he'd had a stroke and had passed away, I think, by the time this was broadcast anyway. So, so I think they kind of write it around that a little bit. They say that he's off in Peru somewhere.
That's right.
Which is why he couldn't attend. But it would have been nice, because that way, I think it would have been the only time, wouldn't it, where the Brig would have interacted with a newer Doctor, like from newer Doctor Who. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
So that could have been amazing.
We're not counting Cyberbrig.
We're not counting. Absolutely
we are
not.
Even. Yeah.
So that would have been amazing to have Tennant's Doctor interacting with the Brig as well as Sarah Jane. That could have been awesome. So that's a shame.
That would have been a lovely moment. I mean, I suppose it might have got a bit crowded, depending on how it was written. But it certainly would have been nice to have seen him there. Yeah. Yeah. It's a shame.
Yes. Yeah. Also, just one quick thing that I had in my notes. There's two things actually, which I found kind of cool. Actually, one thing does put this a little bit cleaner in the timeline, I suppose. But the Trickster, he mentions the gate, quote unquote. He's waiting for the Doctor, which is what happens in the end of time. So this is definitely before then.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm going to place this as in between Journey's End and the next Doctor. I'm going to make a decision and plonk it in the middle.
Yeah, it fits. I think it fits nicely there, actually.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes. I like the little Allons-y that the Doctor screams.
I thought you would.
Yeah, very cool. And did you catch the little acronym that's on the bottom of Mr. Smith's screen?
No.
Which was kind of cool, because when I first saw it, it's a very quick little thing, but when I first saw it, I was like, that's not what... Because it doesn't say the word TARDIS, but there's a sentence, and the acronym, or that the first letters of the word spell out TARDIS. But I remember thinking when that's not what TARDIS stands for, but it's a cool little thing. And he sees, what's the sentence he sees? Just going through my notes. Blah 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 blah. It says something like temporal something. Blah 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 blah. And I thought, that's a really cool little thing, because we all know that that's not what Oh, yeah. So it says temporal and relative dimensional interference sensed. And I thought, aha.
I didn't notice that.
That spells TARDIS.
Ah.
So I like that as well. That's what I mean when I mentioned earlier. There's loads of cool little things in here. If you were a fan of the main show, you would have got those things. It's really cool. But
I did spot her owl in the background. I've spotted it before.
Oh,
but
yeah.
The owl that she carries in the Hand of Fear when she leaves at the end.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that in the loft again. In the attic, sorry, not the loft. The attic.
Yeah. Did you like the little quips between Mr. Smith and K9?
Yeah.
Very funny.
Yeah, I'm liking that.
Yeah. There's a little chuckle when you feel like K9's kind of getting the upper hand, which is nice.
Yeah.
Because
he's a bit of a cheeky. He's a bit cheeky to Mr. Smith, isn't he? But I do think that's quite fun.
It is, yeah. He's like, Sarah Jane, I could have ran a scan for you. And K9 says something like, well, they didn't ask you, so shut up.
One thing I'm not sure about though is K9 seems to have this blinking thing going on, which I've never seen before. Do you notice that with his eyes? He sort of, they did it a couple of times. He sort of does this sort of blink to acknowledgement. I'm like, where's that come from?
Oh, yeah, I thought that was just what K9 did. No?
Maybe he does.
Okay.
I've just not picked up on it before. But yeah. Well, perhaps that, because he was holding back a neutron star or something, wasn't he? Maybe it's, affected his eyesight or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he's got the Specsavers, got some contacts.
Some new lights.
Before we move on to the main crew, which I know we spoke about anyway, but what about Geeta and Haresh then, Rani's parents? She was actually quite funny in this one.
Oh, I was smiling, yeah, because I'm starting to get to really like her, actually. She is over the top in her performance, but I do, like, when she was hovering, and I thought, she's going to go over, and she's got to go over and have a check out her new man. And that's exactly what she does, and it just added a really nice, fun moment to the episode, and when they're at the wedding and everything later. So I like those two. I think they've got potential for adding nice little comedy moments to each episode, actually.
Yeah,
so,
and when she gets the hump about the honeymoon, she's like, we ended up in Brussels or something.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, I actually
That's
liked it, and she just gives him one of those sharp looks.
Yeah.
And he's like, here we go, bringing this up again.
It's like there's nothing there. Yeah, no, I did. I thought there's a couple of good moments with those two. Yeah.
They are quite cool. What about? So I felt like Rani, Clyde, and Luke had a kind of an equal footing in this one.
Yeah.
I felt like, well, if anything, possibly Luke and Clyde a little bit more, because there was a few more scenes with Luke, obviously, because it centers around his mum, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's a couple of scenes where she's like, I'll come and, see you in bed in a minute, tuck you in sort of thing. And they have that nice little conversation, and there's the bit where they go out to dinner with Peter. So I think Luke's in it a little bit more. And then we have that awesome scene with Clyde where he, when they go to run towards the TARDIS, and he runs into as it's dematerializing, and there's all that Archon energy that's left over.
Yeah, that was a great scene.
Yeah,
I really thought that was good because Clyde getting stuck into the action.
Yeah, and then there's that scene where he's got it in his hand and he goes up to the Trickster. I think you mentioned it earlier.
Yeah,
and he slaps the Trickster's hand and transfers all the energy. It's very, very cool.
Gives him a good old slap. Yeah,
yeah. But I also think that Rani too had a fairly decent outing. So I think the three of them generally had a good outing in this one. Sometimes one of them gets a little bit sidelined if there's not enough to do, but I thought they were all pretty good.
No, I did. I thought the cast gelled really, really well, actually. And it's just nice to see. They feel like they're, the more we watch the Sarah Jane Adventures, they seem to be literally growing in front of our eyes. I don't just mean as people. I just mean the way they're gelling, like the relationship between Clyde and Rani. She gives him a couple of looks. You almost feel like, are those two sort of getting together? What's going on? There's a really good chemistry between them. And you had the sort of standoff where Luke was telling Clyde off for, stop thinking everything's going to go wrong, support my mum sort of thing. And, so there's that sort of friendship. And I just think the cast gel so well in this. I didn't sort of feel anyone got particularly left behind in this story. If I had to be pushed, then maybe the Rani didn't get quite as much to do.
Yeah.
The Rani. I mean, Rani, I'm always going to do that, Rani. I almost wanted the Doctor to say as well, like I wanted there to be a line in there when he says, You Must Be Rani. I wanted to say something about, not sure about that name or something, but
that would have been cool.
Yeah, I was waiting for it, but no, I thought they're all great this week.
Yes,
really, really good. So they worked really well with Tennant as well. I would love to. I can just imagine they had so much fun on set.
Oh yeah,
you can feel, it really comes across on screen, doesn't it? You can just tell that those guys probably had an absolute ball making this.
Yeah,
getting to go on the TARDIS. I bet that was great.
Just so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's cool though is, like I mentioned earlier, their performances were not altered by being starstruck or anything. They still consistently played those characters well, which is good. Just very quickly, I know we've spoken about him. Nigel Havers, thought he was very good.
I'm glad you mentioned him, because I although we have spoke about him, I think he was the perfect casting for this. I know he always plays that sort of smooth, debonair man, but his performance is great. I think he manages to get the tone just right between being quite almost to the point of cheesy, but not overacting. I thought he was brilliant, honestly. Really well acted. It just keeps it on the level. Works ever so well with Liz Sladen. I thought the two of them, they had good chemistry together. I thought you could believe that they'd fallen for each other.
Yes.
And also because he's always got that glint in his eye, Havers, hasn't he? He's got that glint. You're never quite sure. That's what was good about it, because we assumed he was going to turn out to be bad or whatever. So all the time you're sort of thinking, he's got that little glint in his eye. What's the twist going to be? So yeah, absolutely perfect casting. I thought he was brilliant, actually.
Yes.
Nigel Havers.
Yep. No, I agree. And then we've spoken about Tennant.
Yeah,
just
it was
fantastic.
Really good. Yeah.
And not sort of overbearing either. Just there's a fine line. I think there's a bit where he's a bit shouty.
Yeah.
Borderline bossy, but I think that's just part of his character. That's just how Tennant played the Doctor anyway, because that shouldn't come to a shock to anybody that's seen him before as the Doctor.
If I was going to make one minor criticism, he's a bit shouty and when he turns up, but that's probably down to the script more than him. But yeah.
And then Liz Sladen then.
I think she's been brilliant every single episode we've watched, but I think in this one, because she has to show this, she at that end scene when she's just all dressed down, because she's normally so sort of smart and looks perfect, doesn't she? And at the end, she's sort of in a big old baggy jumper and the hair's all messed up, and she just looks absolutely downtrodden and and done in. But she's still got that fire in her belly as well, and I think that it's just another brilliant sort of add on to her performance. Really, she just looks so vulnerable at the end, and it's heartbreaking, really. And she sells it so well, but then she turns it around with a bit like Tennant does. She sort of switches it round with a nice line, and Sarah Jane's back, and she'll get back on her feet, sort of thing. So, a brilliant performance from Liz Sladen in this. Really, really beautiful performance, I thought.
Yep, no, I agree totally, and I really like her because she can't be strong all the time. We have to see a vulnerable side to her, and we definitely see that in this. So, yeah, really good from her.
Other things that sold this to me, mate, would be, I thought the direction from Joss Agnew, very good. I thought the episode was shot beautifully, looked really, really good. And I think a special mention for the music as well. The music was beautiful in this episode. Again, I kept thinking somebody's taken, stolen some of Murray Gold's notes, because there's a bit where we get that choral singing again. It's so Murray-ish.
They ripped that straight out, which is good.
And I thought I did look at the end to see who it was doing the music for this, because I thought, it's not Murray, is it? But yeah, beautiful music, beautiful score, really added to the emotion and the fun of the episode. So yeah, really good stuff.
Sam and Dan Watts.
That's it.
Yeah. No, the music was really good, actually.
Yeah,
perfect. I haven't got anything else in my notes, buddy. Before we get on to scores, have you got anything else?
No, that was it. Yeah, that's it.
Right, it's
you, I think, because I remember I struggled last week. Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10.
I'm the same.
Are you? Oh, cool.
Yeah, 9 out of 10. Yeah, really, really good. I'm only knocking off a point, really. I thought the CGI, although I loved it, it didn't look very good. It was the only thing in the episode that didn't look good was the bug-eyed monster in the box at the start, and it kind of didn't really have a reason to be there.
I knocked, as I said earlier, I knocked half a point off for that strange evil cackle from Peter, which seemed just out of character for his motives and his understanding of what he was getting into. So that was kind of weird. But overall, absolutely loved this one.
Yeah.
Cracking story. Right, what did our awesome listeners think this one? We had a few audio clips in for this, which is great. Let's kick off with our regular reviewer from Down Under. This is Sammy Satine.
G'day, Gary and Adam, Sammy Satine here. So, the wedding of Sarah Jane Smith. First of all, writer Gareth Roberts has all kinds of family-friendly words for having and expressing transphobia. That aside, I like this story. I mean, why wouldn't I? It's Sarah Jane hanging out with my doctor again. What is not to love? Nigel Havers is great as Peter Dalton. It's interesting. Jim, note, this was filmed around the same time as the special, so David had to switch from Time Lord Victorious to Happy-Go-Lucky Doctor. Also, I like the blue suit. The wedding venue is the same one used in Torchwood later on for a wedding. I give it 10 Tricksters out of 10. See ya.
I thought I'd seen that hall. I had a feeling it was in Torchwood.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah, 10 Tricksters.
10.
Crikey. Nice one, Sammy. Thank you very much. This is our first-time audio reviewer.
Oh, a newbie.
Yes. Lee has been commenting away on various social media, I believe, over the years. Long-time listener, but it's his first audio review. So this is Lee Clow.
Hey Gary, hey Adam, hey listeners. This is Lee Clow here. I've been following this podcast for many years, but this is actually my first audio review, mainly because I'm nervous, but also I hate the sound of my own voice. But anyway, the wedding of Sarah Jane Smith. What a great episode this is. I remember watching this when I was 8 years old back in 2009, and the excitement to seeing David Tennant right at the end is fantastic, and I'll never get bored of seeing it. I highly recommend anyone who hasn't seen this episode to watch it, because it is one of the best Sarah Jane Adventures stories out there. I'd give this a 10 out of 10, and I just wanted to say, Gary, Adam, thank you for creating such a great podcast for everyone here. It is amazing, and I can't wait to see what you do next.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome.
Lee.
Cheers, Lee.
Very kind words. Thank you so much. And a 10. Another 10.
Another 10. And don't be afraid to send in more audio reviews, mate. There's nothing wrong with your voice at all.
Yeah.
In fact, you sound more manly than me. Hard.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lee. Yeah, keep those rolling in. Let's move on to Matt Steele.
Hello, Gary and Adam. Matt Steele here. Hope you guys have had a good couple of months. Just like to start off by saying apologies for not sending in my reviews for the last couple of times. Bloody life getting in the way. But now I'm back and here to give you my thoughts of The Wedding of Sarah Jane Smith. This story is remarkable. It handles love, heartbreak, evil, the Bannerman Road Gang, the Doctor and K9, and delivers a beautifully made story. Everything from the banter between Mr. Smith and K9 to a heartbreaking romance between Sarah Jane and Peter Dalton. It was all awesome. If I had to be really picky, I'd probably say that the alien slug CGI didn't really hold up that well, and I felt Luke didn't really have much to do again, but however, I give this an incredibly easy score of 10 time traps out of 10. Have a good week, guys. I'll see you again.
Another 10.
Cheers, Matt. Too busy saving the universe with his superpowers to send in audio reviews. I don't know.
Indeedy. Thank you very much, Matt. Another 10.
Cheers, mate.
Crikey. Last one. This is Luke Malloy.
Gary and Adam.
Stop this wedding now!
The Wedding of Sarah Jane Smith. An episode where it's very hard to ignore that the Doctor's in it. The build-up of the Doctor joining into the action is really well done. I really enjoy it. You just hear the TARDIS coming in the background, building, and you're smiling and you're just waiting for Tennant to run in and shout something, and that's exactly what he does. But the rest of the story is good too. It's got really a nice emotional beat, and like all Trickster stories, is the best of their series. The Trickster always brings a great episode with him, and this is probably the best of the three. It's brilliant. It just makes you smile. It's a really good story on its own, emotional. It's got a bit of that Father's Day feeling to it with the sacrifice, like a lot of the Trickster stories, but yeah, just brilliant. 8 out of 10 for me. Stop this wedding!
Brilliant.
Nice one, Luke. Another 10. Oh, no, sorry, 8.
Yeah.
Sorry. He said 8. Yeah, sorry. I got carried away with the 10s there.
It's 10s, yeah. 10 and 10s.
Yes, 10 and 10s. Yeah, thank you very much, guys, for sending in your audio clips. Very much appreciated, as always. Let's rattle through some of these over on the socials. Over on Twitter, our writer, Jordan Shortman, says, one of the best of SJA. I love the Trickster, and he proves to be a great foil for the Doctor. But the true heart of this story lies with Sarah and the shocking decision that she has to make at the end. It's truly heartbreaking. A fantastic story with some great performances. Rick Moran says...
old Rick Moran.
Old Rick Moran, yeah. Says, although David Tennant's appearance in this episode as the Doctor is in the same chronology as the series of Doctor Who, it was actually filmed several months after he finished filming The End of Time Part 2, making this the last time he actually played the Doctor, until reprising his role in the 50th Day of the Doctor, of course. This two-part story is an absolute gem. Who'd have thought kids' TV could be so emotional? Everything in this works to perfection, from the scripts and performances. It's outstanding. A 10 out of 10.
10. Cool.
Matt Steele, he was just saying that, yes, he's getting his audio review. Sorry, yeah. We've just played your review, obviously. So, yes. Spooker Lively. This is Spencer Shively. Says, always love this story. Shown it to many of my Doctor Who friends who don't watch SJA. I love how 10 is teased throughout the first episode and his entrance at the end. Love Sarah's face when she sees the TARDIS again. Love the concept, and kids all have something to do. A 9 Davids out of 10.
Aha, see what you did there.
Thank you very much, Spencer. Who else did we get here? Caitlin Dalek 100. I absolutely love this story. 10 meets Sarah again. Cliffhanger for part 1 was awesome. K9 is under the Doctor's wing again. Luke, Clyde and Rani meet the Doctor. The only thing I wish of this story would be the Brigadier to have been in it, but we can't be picky. A 10 out of 10 still.
Another 10, wow.
Harry Gilsenan says, best episode of SJA. Tennant and Sladen are both amazing as always. Trickster is such a good villain, and one of the only villains who has good depth to them. And we have a whole episode with K9. Another 10 out of 10.
Wow.
Rob Kelly tweets. Rob Kelly. This is a 10 out of 10. Although this was broadcast before The End of Time, it was David Tennant's last recorded scenes as the Doctor. He is effortlessly brilliant, as is Elizabeth Sladen and the rest of the SJA cast. Can't wait for the podcast, chaps. Thank you very much, Rob.
Cheers.
And over on over on Facebook, we have a few comments there from Carl Evan Elwell. I watched this last night. This is what Doctor Who should be. It was exciting and fast-paced with great performances by the younger cast as well as the seasoned professionals. Both David Tennant and Liz Sladen light up the episodes, showing how magical the programme can be. When the chemistry and rapport between actors works beautifully with each other, a 9.5. Charlie Turner. A great story and one of my faves in the entirety of the SJA stories. It might be my second, I don't know. I'll need a marathon at some point before deciding. But it's so nice to have it on both DVD in the collection and on Blu-ray in my David Tennant special steelbook, which we mentioned earlier. It goes on to give it a 9 out of 10. Nice. Greg Taylor, I remember the excitement for this episode as there was not a full series this year, just the specials, and it didn't disappoint. The build-up to Tennant's appearance at the cliffhanger to part 1 was done perfectly, and part 2 rides along at a brilliant pace. The plot was quite emotional, especially for the title character. Great performances from all the regulars, guest stars, and a wonderful final regular performance from David Tennant as the Doctor. Chloe Anderson, love this one. A slightly more complex episode for SJA and a great cameo from 10, one of my favourites. And lastly, Jeff Waddle says, Nigel Havers, the middle-aged woman's a bit of war. Imagine Nigel saying that off camera. So there you go. Thank you so much, guys, for sending in your thoughts and reviews. It's great to get a feel of what fandom feels about these episodes, and I confidently say, mate, that this is a solid 10 overall.
It is, mate. And I was just looking to see, because you almost feel this would be like a series finale, wouldn't you?
It does feel that way.
But it's
actually
halfway through series 3, so we've still got another 3 stories to go, which is great. I'm just hope, because it's sort of set a level, isn't it? It's so good.
Yeah.
But then the whole Sarah Jane's been so good up to now. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing what we've got coming up. But
yes, we've got 12
definitely
stories left, I believe, in SJA.
Yeah, 12 left.
I think so, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So that's SJA done for this week. Next week, it's the turn of classic Doctor Who. So what are we reviewing next week, buddy?
Yeah, so next week, Classic Who has been a third Doctor. Hiya! Action. So we're going to be reviewing The Ambassadors of Death.
Crikey. I think this is a 6 or 7-parter, isn't it?
Oh, I think it is. Yeah, I've got a feeling it's a 7.
A 7-parter, yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't get the brig in the wedding of Sarah Jane Smith, but he does show up in this story, The Ambassadors of Death, so that'll be good. Along with Benton, and I think there's a monster cast in this one, if memory serves.
Yeah.
So that'll be good. So The Ambassadors of Death, get that DVD watched, as we'll be asking for your thoughts on that third Doctor story for next week. And yeah, indeedy. And I think we'll wrap there, bud, for episode 244.
Okay.
Thank you for sticking with us and listening to episode 244. It's been awesome going through the news and merch as always, and in our review of SJA, The Wedding of Sarah Jane Smith. Next week, as Adam said, the third Doctor story, The Ambassadors of Death. Get that watched and look out for the social post that will go out. I'm going to try and put them out on the weekends now, so you guys have got enough time to re-watch or just get your thoughts over. So we'd love to hear your views on that, so send them over next week. In the meantime, head over to the website www.bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to all of the podcast episodes on there, plus check out all of the awesome articles that our reviewers and writers put out. Some great stuff over there to satisfy all of your Who needs. Listen to our show and subscribe on whatever podcast network you listen to. We're on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, all of those networks. Should do a search for us. Give us a sub so you don't miss a show when they land every single Friday. If you have a minute as well, if you can leave a review on Apple Podcasts or whatever thing you listen on, that'd be awesome because that helps us out loads. Also check out my co-host channel, The Geek's Handbag, over on YouTube.
It's in front of me right now, actually, the handbag.
Yeah.
It's on my desk.
The Geek's Handbag.
To dust it off.
Dust it off, yeah. Yeah, head over to YouTube, do a search for The Geek's Handbag. You'll see Adam's mug pop up on there. I think you'll see the handbag first, but I think his mug's on there
behind
somewhere.
it.
Yes. Give Adam a sub. Check out all his videos. Loads of cool videos over there. And Adam's also on all the socials under the same name, The Geek's Handbag.
Yes.
As are we. So just do a search on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram for the Big Blue Box Podcast. You'll see us on there. Give us a like as we chat Doctor Who throughout the week. So we will see you next week for episode 245. Until then, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember,